welcome back to the Lab Podcast. I'm Kel, and I'm here with Cody. Today, we're going to be talking about goals, but first, how are you doing, Cody?
Pretty good, as I almost choke on my saliva before we come on here. Allergies for some reason are I don't know, they're just here right now. I'm like, it's winter, why? But other than that, pretty good. How about you?
Oh, I'm doing pretty good. Are you affected at all by the smoke and the fires, or is that far enough away from you that it doesn't?
Yeah,
I guess it's really far away.
It is pretty far. So it's about 8 hours away because it's in LA. So California is a long state. If people usually just picture California just like LA or San Francisco and nothing in between. So yeah, they're about 8 hours away. So luckily safe. Normally there are a lot of fires up here. And normally there's not fires in the middle of January. But apparently I'm seeing that there's a arsonist that is setting this shit off. So more to come. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Shit. Well, yeah. Well, I'm glad you're okay. And it is weird that there's fires now, but who knows? Global war, I don't know. That's crazy though. This arsonist. I hadn't heard that.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I'm doing okay. We actually had the opposite. I'm in the middle of a winter storm. We got about 10 inches, I think, of snow, and it's been crazy. I'm in Southern Ohio, so it's not typical for us to get that much. And we had a level 3 snow emergency for 2 days, which was annoying. That means you can't drive anywhere unless it's an emergency. You can get arrested, supposedly. So
whoa.
Yeah. But what that means is that I couldn't work out for a couple days, and that sucked. But I was back in the gym this morning, which I am very, very happy about.
Did it feel good to get back? Sometimes it's almost like you needed it, like a recharge. Yeah.
Yeah, it did feel good to get back. I got a hell of a pump. I kind of combined to make just a basic upper body day altogether. And it was nice because it was kind of also I got to do all of my favorite exercises.
Can't beat that.
All in
2
one
days
day.
Off, and then all your favorite exercises. So
yeah, essentially. So yeah, that was pretty nice. And the snow's fun sometimes. So
yeah, it's more fun when it's a situation where you don't get it a whole lot, but then when you do get it, you get to enjoy it, and then it goes away instead of just being all winter long shoveling your driveway, whatever. So yeah, it's probably the perfect amount. Yeah. So speaking of recent events, and I mean, just talking about the fire is political. I don't know if you've seen any of that's going on. But
no, I've just started listening to all the fire talk, and I saw today that there are apparently private firefighters that people can hire. I didn't hear about that.
Supposedly, I saw someone making fun of some guy asking for that when he previously bragged about not paying taxes or something.
Oh my god! Yeah, of course.
Yeah, it's okay, so now you don't get the firefighters that you're supposed to get with your taxes, and now you're trying to hire some private firefighters. So I feel by
That is
private they
crazy.
mean people who couldn't make it into the fire academy, so just got a bunch of guys with hoses or some shit. But the biggest problem is that there's no water. So regardless, even if you have firefighters, there's nothing coming out of those hydrants. So what are you going to do?
That is an issue. That
Yeah.
is an issue.
And that's where it gets political.
Yeah, that's true. I did see a lot about the tax cuts and stuff like that recently. So crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah. More,
What a world.
Yeah. More shit. But, outside of that, then we have, Mark Zuckerberg coming on and saying that they're not going to do fact checking anymore on, meta platforms. So Facebook, Threads, Instagram. Yeah. What are your thoughts on
All
that?
social media but TikTok.
Yeah.
And
Well, TikTok has its own. People get banned on
well,
that pretty quickly.
it's supposed to be going away anyways, so
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, we'll see about that, but yeah.
yeah, that's kind of how I feel too. I don't really see them being able to completely tear it down. But I also saw that along with the fact checking and getting rid of that, they want to get rid of a lot of the quote unquote censorship, which just means letting any kind of speech go.
Yeah.
And he specifically said he wants to move towards X's policies, which was scary.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially since, I still am on X, but I go over to Threads to get a break. So it's, there's not going to be any space for a little bit of a break unless you kind of create your own, I guess. But I have my thought, negative and positive thoughts about it. But yeah, what are your, thoughts about it so far?
I mean, I think I essentially just think it's billionaires protecting themselves and being able to kind of combine forces to remind the public that the quote unquote enemy is immigrants and trans folks, because I think those are the ones that he specifically mentioned when he was talking about. He was getting rid of the censorship of immigration talk and gender talk, which kind of is crazy to me that you would call that out specifically in a public press. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Doesn't that feel a little insidey? But I'm just annoyed, and the internet is a rough place with the hate out there. I mean, I know me and you have definitely talked about it. We get messages a lot, comments. I still have a post that keeps blowing up on the wrong side of TikTok, and then or not TikTok, sorry, Instagram. And it's from months ago, which is pretty weird. But
yeah, I had that similar situation where it just went on for months. You get a little bit of break and all of a sudden it just pops up again. And that's the thing where, honestly, I'm like, you know what? I don't care, because I don't feel like there was ever censorship to begin with. I didn't get trolled any less. I still got told to kill myself multiple times. I still got called mentally ill every fucking day by hundreds of people. So I'm just I don't understand how it's going to make much of a difference. You were censoring that shit, because I reported comments of, people telling me to kill myself, and it just straight up was this doesn't go against the community guidelines. So I'm like, what do you change it? I don't know. The only thing I would think is just they're going to push the algorithms, not going to basically, punish people for talking about things that are political and that sort of thing. So it'll just have equal playing ground. But I'm hoping, the algorithm is based off of what you interact with. So it probably just depends on what you're interacting with. But, we're humans. We can't really help ourselves, and we tend to interact with negativity. So yeah, it's going to be fun.
Yeah, that's true. I guess I didn't, and that's a good point, that it's not going to change a whole lot. But it's still just kind of annoying to see the discourse go that way. You know what I mean? And the decisions going that way. Yeah, so that's stupid.
Yeah, I think the one positive is the fact checking was AI based, and it was wrong a lot. Even I got fact checked on a fucking quote that I got from some quote app, and I think it was a Winston Churchill quote that is everywhere on the internet, and it told me that it was there was no evidence that that he said that, and I'm like, is there evidence that anyone said anything? Is it written down in a scroll somewhere buried 5,000 feet into the ground? Okay. And so because of that, it didn't shadow ban me, but it put a mark on my account for 60 days or 30 days or something like that. And so I was just are you for fucking real? So to not have to worry about that is nice, because it was just not very accurate. but you know, leaving it up for people to fact check. Because I am on X and I do understand how that works, it can be helpful because it doesn't take the post down. It still lets you form your own thoughts and opinion, but it does give you the note underneath that says the fact. So it's kind of nice that you still get to see the things, but then you also get to see like the community note underneath it of being like, oh, all right, yeah, that's not real, but okay, that's a thought. So I don't know that it's all going to be bad. Change is always scary. But I've been trolled over the years just as much, so I don't care.
Yeah. The one thing I am kind of excited about, and I don't know how it'll play out, but I listen to a lot of like marijuana podcasts that are about like the effects of cannabis in science, and it's like actual studies and research done on it, and a lot of that I've found via social media, but it's hard because a lot of those creators get banned and like because you can't say anything about drugs, and marijuana is in this weird gray category. So I am a little excited to see if that changes and like allows more information to get out there. So we'll see about that also. But overall, it makes me very nervous because I don't think necessarily anything that Elon does is good. And Zuckerberg seems to be following his calls.
Yeah, I think what it is that they're seeing maybe Trump promised them something. They basically, I think they're trying to get it on his good side because there's something that's going to benefit them. So I think this is probably what he has directed them to do, that he wants them to do. And I think with any administration, because Zuckerberg admitted or whatever that he was following some rules of the current administration, and now we're changing the administration. So it might just be that he is following whatever he can do to get on good terms with the people in charge. But that's exactly what it feels a little nerve-wracking in that, we're talking about free speech and stuff like that. But when you have someone like Elon Musk, who's so close to the president, is it really free speech? Because that's what he's been doing lately is, censoring people who talk shit about him specifically. And so he's been taking people's check marks away and ability to monetize. And so it's concerning that, such a proponent for free speech, except when you talk shit about him or if he doesn't like it. And when you feel like it's almost the opposite of what we would want, because they're now chummy with the government, with Trump. So is that not as close as you can get to government run media? Isn't that what we're trying to avoid? So they can control the narrative of everything because of what they put out. And Elon always likes to say, you guys are the news. You guys are the journalists now. Twitter is the number one source for news, blah, blah, blah. But it's like, but he still controls the algorithm. He still controls what people are going to see. So it's what do you believe? Is there any true like free speech platform that is not controlled by someone that is close to the government?
No. Well, and my general rule of thumb is if change is happening that's going to benefit a billionaire or a multi-billionaire, it's probably not in my best interest. So that's my general rule of thumb. So usually I'm always a little scared when these kinds of decisions are made.
Oh yeah, for sure. And apparently, Elon's been meddling in like Germany's elections and like France and like just all these other countries are a little bit pissed at him at the moment. And it's almost like fucking Peaky in the Brain going on here with Trump and
it really
Elon.
Feels like it.
Like we're gonna take over the world. So
the Gulf of America.
Yeah, I'm just like, are you for what the fuck? Like we went from like America first to how about Canada And then also Mexico and the Gulf of Mexico. It's all America now. You know what? Since we actually can't deport thousands of people at once, what we're going to do is just take it over. Immigration problem fixed. It's like, you're
the
all
longer
American now.
immigration.
So, yeah, and Justin Trudeau, I can't say his last name. Trudeau, he resigned, and essentially, it's America does have an impact on other countries, and basically, I think it was that they're anticipating he was going to lose. It's like the Biden situation where Biden should have stepped down way sooner to allow for someone else a chance and not just like sticking the one person in there without having any sort of primary,
Right.
So essentially it was like, bro, you're bringing us down. You got to resign. Like, we're losing. So, there's Canadians who are Trumpers essentially, and it's everywhere. So there's the conservative side, and then there's the more liberal side in every country essentially. And Canada's getting hit because we have an influence. Unfortunately, I mean, it's like, where are we gonna go? Like, what if we need to escape? We can't go to Mexico or Canada.
No, screwed. We're screwed. Yeah, that's what I was just talking to Maddie. I'm like, I just want to move our little plot of land to like as much off-gridness as possible.
Right.
Just to completely isolate. I don't know.
Yeah. So that's fun. What else is going on in the news lately?
I don't know.
Oh yeah,
I've been watching
Cybertruck thing.
Oh yeah. Yes, that's what we were going to talk about, was terrorists. Because I saw today that Christmas, the day after Christmas was 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago was Christmas. It feels like it was a million years ago somehow. Like, it feels like months ago, doesn't it?
It totally does.
And so much has happened already in 2025, and we're not even in the double digits.
Yeah, and Trump isn't even in office yet. So no. I don't know. I keep seeing things too where people are like, shit's going to get crazy. Like, hold on. And I'm just like, can you not? Like, I'm not ready for this. Like, I need to recover from last year. So, yeah, there's a lot of conspiracy theories and shit that always goes around on any event. So there's multiple sides of things. But, there was the terrorist situation, and then there was the guy who blew himself up in the Cybertruck in front of Trump Hotel. From what I know, those are separate. It was just kind of coincidence. But
so many coincidences.
Yeah. And so that guy, they're still trying to figure out like what his motive was. Essentially, there's two different manifestos. So there's like one that got emailed to some guy being a whistleblower with some shit, and then the other one is like one they supposedly found in the car. Is that correct?
I think so, but and it doesn't make sense to me because like the car was blown up.
Yeah, and like they supposedly found his ID and shit just fine, but his body was unrecognizable. And it's like, what the fuck? So that's why I'm like, I feel like the email one is the real one. Because he knew what the fuck was up.
Dude, all I've been watching currently is like spy shows also, so I'm completely distrusting of everything currently.
Dude, same. Did you watch that show on Netflix called like Black Dove or some shit?
Yes, I watched that, and now I'm watching Night Agent. Because it's about to have it's another spy show, but it's about the U.S. government instead of in England.
So it hits home.
Yes, and it goes all the way to the top. But highly recommend. It's going to have its second season coming out at the end of the month. So I'm watching the first season.
Is that on Netflix or where's that at?
Yeah, Netflix.
Okay, cool. Yeah, it's like my favorite type of stuff to watch. But the Black Dove one, all of these, and The Madness was another good one. All of these
I didn't watch
shows. That. Oh yeah, you should watch that one. It's good. They have like it's like a murder mystery kind of thing almost, a thriller. there's another like Harlan Coben one that just came out as well, which is always good. But it starts basically showing you all these things, and you're like, holy shit, like this isn't fiction. It just isn't. Like,
it doesn't feel like it
there
anymore.
are enough people out there who are rich enough to, you know, make someone disappear. And even if people know about it, they can't do anything because they're so powerful, because they have money, or they might get killed. So it just shows you how this shit can happen. And also, it's a little depressing because it shows that we don't have like any fucking controllers saying anything. Yeah.
but it also, like, because the one I'm watching right now, it is actually like takes place in the U.S. government. So like it is, I don't know, it seems all very possible, because it's like, who's backstabbing who and who can you believe, and no one actually knows what's going on, and that's what it feels like. Like, it feels possible because I'm like, no one's telling us the truth. Like, because I feel like we're at the point where like no one trusts the government. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
we're unified on that.
Yeah, like even like Democrats don't trust what the Democrats are saying in high office as much as like everybody else. But I don't know. It's just they're really getting me like fired up, because it's just like I don't trust shit. Everything feels believable. It feels like The Onion could be like MSNBC now.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. No, for real. Like, that's exactly where I'm at. And then I was thinking in my head, I'm like, have I been on X too long? Like, am I just like ruining my brain? But like, you're not on X and you feel exactly the same way.
I feel exactly the same.
So it's like, it's so confusing.
Well, and to our listeners, we'll admit this, is like we were talking about what we wanted to talk about current events wise, and I'm like, we listed like 50 different topics, and we've only been gone for 2 weeks.
Yeah, that's why it feels like it was so long ago. There's actually so many things I don't even know where to start.
No.
In the drone situation, apparently, you know, is connected to the Cybertruck situation, and I did look to, apparently the FBI confirmed that the email was actually from the guy. So like, that's kind of a new development, like the confirmation from that. So then what does that mean? Like, where do we go from there? I know they're going to try to paint him as mentally ill and all that stuff, but was he? There's always like, everything is a possibility. And when you watch these fucking shows, you see how they like plant evidence and how they like get people. You got to watch The Madness for that one. It's just like, there's so much power other places. They can just make things up and make the public believe certain things. That's where you start getting fucking paranoid.
Well, like, and then like the people who they're blaming everything on are dead. So like, there's no one to like be, right? Like, no one exists to tell a different story.
Yeah. And like, there's, you know, definitely the possibility of more whistleblowers. So it's like, if more people come forward, then that can help confirm things, but it's dangerous, obviously. So I don't know if I sent you the email. The sun is like right in the middle of my face. It feels really weird, guys.
Line.
Like, it's my new tattoo. I'm getting so.
It's very tribal.
It's my new cult. It's like alien tribe.
Yes.
But yeah, so supposedly, you know, there's this connection with this guy. He's blowing the whistle on technology that we have that we're hiding. And it's funny because it aligns with like this other guy who's been trying to blow the whistle on the same thing. And that guy posted, he posted that email that someone else like posted, and then he was like, holy fuck, like, this is the same guy that blew himself up in the Cybertruck. Like, he didn't even know that was the same guy, and he was like, whoa. And
That's
it's
crazy.
like, yeah. And so he's like, I told you all. So yeah, it's interesting. And especially with the drones and the UFO people, they're all like, basically saying that disclosure is happening and to expect more to come. And there's that like Dr. Greer dude who's made this his fucking life mission. And he's essentially saying like somewhere in the month of January, we're going to see more. And I don't know if that meant like the Cybertruck situation or if there's still more. I don't know. So yeah, rabbit holes. Those are fun to jump into. Maybe not the healthiest.
And I love that like all of this is going on and everybody's just like going about their day. Like, you know what I mean? It feels so weird. It's like, this is not what I thought the end of the world would feel like.
I know. Like, yeah, totally.
Why do I still have to work?
Right. Because there's this like all these things that you're like, what if this is real? And then you're like, if this is real, then like, what am I doing? Why am I doing what I'm doing? It's like, right. But then since we don't know, it's just like, well, we have to keep going. And,
is that not the best segue or what?
It is.
To our topic.
Your goals still matter even if the world is ending because we don't know.
Your goals still matter. We don't know for sure.
Oh man.
We want to make sure these bodies look good when the aliens abduct us.
The aliens are gonna be so fucking confused about my body whenever they they're gonna be like, what is this? And I'll be like, you guys have better surgical interventions where you're at? Do you have trans aliens? No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, and I did see this crazy I was on TikTok, as I am when I scroll, and there was this fitness coach, and you get fitness coaches a lot when you're a fitness coach popping up on your socials. And this guy was trying to sell a package that was like, get revolution ready. And it was like, you need to do to get your body in shape for capitalism falls. And I'm like, what? The marketing ploy. I love it. He's staying up to date. He's going with the trends.
I mean, it's probably working for a paranoid percentage of the population. I can see that.
Really go after those preppers.
Yeah, nothing like a fear-based marketing tactic. That's what church is, so it works. We know it. Want to go to hell? So
true.
Make sure to give me some 10% of your fucking paycheck. But yeah, anyways.
Oh goodness. But yeah, so let's talk about goals.
Let's talk about pretending that shit is not on fire, literally and metaphorically. But yeah, so goals. Did
you set goals, some new ones for this year?
Yeah, I'm like, did we talk about this? Let's talk about it if we did.
I don't think so.
So yes, my goals are different than usual. Usually I'm figuring out a way to like push myself harder, mostly like physically or business wise. And I kind of, have a list, but I'm prioritizing like top 3, because if I don't prioritize the top 3, then none of the other ones are going to even be possible, or I'm just going to be like dead, just non-functional because, mental health, burnout, that sort of thing. So basically my prioritization is going to more of like slowing things down a little bit. And it feels very weird because I've never made goals that are pertaining to doing less. Like it's always the opposite. Like I want to do more. Right. But I just, you come to a point where you just have to be aware of where you're at and what you're capable of in the moment. Not saying that I'm never capable of pushing myself. It's just sometimes you need to give yourself a little bit of time to recover or take a step back before you can go forward. So basically like my top 3 would be, 1, taking more time just to do things that I enjoy. For me, honestly, that's like, I like to write and not just about fitness stuff. I'm always writing, and like, whether it's captions or, videos or whatever, YouTube, podcast, whatever. But I always had a blog from like as soon as the internet existed. I blogged about my life, and I did that up until like 2020, and then I just stopped. So that goes to like the second goal, is to be regular on my personal blog. Like it's not important. No one gives a fuck. I just want to like do that because it helps me unwind, and like, you know, grounds me, and it's just something I like to do. So those two goals are kind of tied together. 3, I basically, you know, just continue to work on mental health, OCD, making progress in those areas. If I were to add a top 4, I want to read or listen to one book per month. And then those are the top areas I'm focusing on. But yeah, how about you?
Nice. I had that reading goal last year and I successfully did it, and it like I'm still
Nice.
going. So it was
Awesome.
it really did kick off a nice habit.
Cool.
My goals. So Maddie and I did something a little different this year. We had kind of like 2 different ways of setting goals. So we did one during the winter solstice. So there's 10 days from the winter solstice to January 1st this year. And so we wrote down 10 goals that we wanted to have, general goals, and we put them, like, balled them up and threw them in a jar. And then every day we burned one. So you kind of like let the universe choose your like path or like your goal. So that one for me ended up being a better cook. So I really wanted to get better at the skill of cooking. So
yeah.
that is,
I like that.
So I might be asking you for some tips and tricks.
Yeah.
But
Anytime.
that's my universe picked goal. So that's number 1. The second one, I want to learn how to ice skate backwards. That way, well, there's a specific reason. So it's because it's my first step. I can kind of, but but I needed a trackable goal because I really wanted to learn how to ice skate better. Because this year I want to do like kind of master ice skating, and then next year I want to join like a hockey beer league. I really love hockey. I've never been able to like play it, and it wasn't really like a sport that girls could play growing up. So I kind of want to. I feel like my whole adulthood is just marking off goals I wanted to do as a little boy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that I'm going to learn how to ice skate backwards because you have to be able to do that for hockey. And yeah, so that's number 2. And then my third one was, oh crap, I already forgot. I think it's still just filling out my large t-shirt. I dropped a little size because my last bulk I was a little chunkier, not muscly. So I want to fill it out with muscles this time. So we're just going to keep on the march to a size large shirt. So those are my 3. But Maddie and I actually made a bingo card this year. So it's a bingo card, but they're good goals. So like one is get married because we already have that on the plans for this year. And then it's like other one. But we kind of combined them. So like she has like 3 or 4 that are just her. I have like 3 or 4 that are just me. And then we have like a bunch of couple goals or things that we both want to do. And we're just going to try to get as many bingos as we can over the year. We kind of put it on the fridge.
Awesome. I like that. That's cool.
Yeah. We were trying new ways to make goals appealing.
No, and it's fun because you get to like do it together. So
yeah, and we can push each other on the ones that are so low. Is what we were thinking, so.
Yeah, I like that. Maybe me and Des will have to steal that.
You should. It's kind of like a vision board, but you can like use it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That accountability layer is always, helpful.
Exactly, and it makes it fun because you're like, oh, I'm really close to bingo here. Let me just knock that one out. You know what I mean?
Yeah. A little motivation, just be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna get this, so I'm gonna do it. Yeah, I like that. I'm trying to think. Oh yeah, if I were to I didn't give any physique goals, but you mentioned filling out the large. I basically want to like refill out extra larges because I did also lose some size 'cause I had that surgery, and it definitely lost some muscle, but it didn't help that it went from surgery straight into a deficit that I feel like just dragged on and on and on. So finally in the starts of a bulk and a growth phase, and I'm just really looking forward to not feeling small anymore. And it's funny because people are like, you're not small. It's like, but I wasn't. Oh, I used to be bigger. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I think I'm worried because I have my hysterectomy is next month, actually, less than a month away now. So I'm a little nervous about that, and kind of like getting back into like having that having time off, and then kind of getting back into like lame things like lots of volume as opposed to heavy, not as much volume.
Yeah.
That I'm not very excited about, but uh, I don't know. I took a lot of precautions this year and kind of shifted my focus uh, kind of into like prepare myself for Trump's America. So like a lot of my plans kind of got rearranged, which is fine, but just putting different emphasis on stuff earlier in the year.
Yeah. And at least it helps you get out of the way. Then you don't have to worry about it anymore. And yeah, at least the hysteria.
Finally got all my paperwork done.
Yeah. I mean, there's a little motivation for you. Like, I'm an asshole and still haven't changed my birth certificate or gotten like a passport or a real ID, which we're going to need for just flying within the United States.
I know, so annoying.
I know they pushed that back.
And
I don't remember when it takes effect.
I don't know. It's been on my to-do list for like 6 months, I feel like. Because did you also know that there's a gender marker on your social security card? I found that out the other day. So I have an appointment with the social security office.
Yeah, no, I didn't know that because like I don't see anything on my social security card.
It's not on the card, but it's on their records on the back end.
Oh, because like I did go to Social Security after I changed my name and gender, which is how I got a new Social
Maybe
Security
you changed
card.
it then.
You would think that they would just do that automatically because it's the same way that you like, basically you have to go there first before you can get your driver's license updated and your bank and all that stuff. So I'm like, do they still not update it? Even if,
I don't know. My paperwork was all funky because I only changed my middle name. I didn't change my first name or my last name. So I didn't get my social security card done initially because I'm like, well, it's close enough. Yeah. And then like we in Ohio couldn't change our birth certificates legally until like 2 years ago. So that was behind. It was all kinds of fucked.
Yeah, but I need to change the birth certificate still. It's just like I'm just banking off, no one's going to know. No one's looking at my birth certificate. But when it comes to things like passports and shit like that,
yeah,
it's not fun to be like, oh, yeah, here's my supporting paperwork that I'm not someone else.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But anyways.
So, do we want to talk about goals in general and how we think it's best to set up goals and that kind of thing?
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, obviously, like the biggest thing that people usually have heard is like SMART goals.
Yeah.
I know we've talked about that
a
few times. So, do we want to?
Well, I wrote down a couple things to ask yourself before making your goals.
That's a good one.
Because we've talked about SMART goals before.
Yeah.
So, kind of because I hear all the time people are like, well, I want to lose weight. And I'm like, okay, what does that mean? Like, what does that mean to you? And I think it's something that people kind of don't think about. So the questions I wrote down are, what is your main goal? So do you want to lose fat? Do you want to build muscle? Are you looking for like a better lifestyle? You want to be able to do your activities better? How active are you now? So like understand where your baseline is and like how you're eating, how you're moving your body, that kind of thing. Next, like what motivates you? What is something that you get excited about when it comes to your goals? Is it looking a certain way? Is it a certain strength number? Et cetera, et cetera. Next, what challenges do you think are going to be an issue ahead of the game? Most people know where their areas are before they talk to anybody. So, what are your problem areas? Where do you think you've struggled before? That kind of thing. How much time do you have? Like, what is like the like budget your time? How many hours can you commit to? Because that's going to change your goals. And then is the other thing is what is there anything that you want to try or that you enjoy doing actively now or that you know works for you? Because that's always important to have in your mind when you're setting up goals. Is there anything else you think that people should think about before even getting to the goal setting part?
I mean, I think that about covers it. You're just basically putting down like, so you make sure that you're making realistic goals. You have the time, you have the energy and all that stuff. A lot of times we don't think about that. And we just kind of try to go after something that we don't have the energy or capacity for. And then it just leads to frustration. So I think all those questions are great to kind of weed out what might not be possible or realistic. Yeah.
Yep. So then kind of we go into the SMART goals. You want to cover that in like a quick nutshell since we've went over it in detail before?
Yeah. Do you want me to? Do you want which?
You can if you want. I don't care.
So SMART goals, it's an acronym if you don't know yet. So it stands for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. So it kind of covers all those questions that you just kind of talked about.
Essentially, it's the same thing.
Yeah. So you want to make sure that they're specific, so you know what your path is to get to them, and you can like break them down. You want to know the who, what, where, when, and why. Measurable, yeah. Make sure there's progress that you can track. Otherwise, you're probably not going to stick to it. Achievable, that's obviously very important. If you can't achieve it, then you don't want to make that goal. But we don't always know what we can achieve. You don't want to set the goal of
lose 100 pounds in a month.
Yeah, that's obviously not achievable. So just be realistic again about it. Relevant, so it should align with your values and long-term goals. And it's also you have to make sure that it's something that you're willing and able to do in the moment. So not like someday, not sometime in the future. Make sure it's something that you can do right now and something that you want right now. If you don't want it, you're not going to go for it. So yeah. And time bound, deadlines, they're great. It creates a sense of urgency. Sometimes they can create more stress. So be careful of, be able to be flexible with things, especially when it comes to weight loss or muscle gain goals, because you can't always be sure of the time frame because everyone is different. Life has ways of throwing hurdles at you. So just because you set a goal that's time bound doesn't mean that you failed if you don't hit it within the time frame. So just keep that in mind. Like it's okay to set a time frame to aim, have a direction to aim for, but be okay with making it take longer if you need to. Yeah, that's about it, I think.
Absolutely. And do you see one kind of aspect of goal setting fail most for people?
Yes. Usually one of the biggest things that I see, there's a few things, but going into something, with like the all or nothing mindset, that's always a huge thing. And I saw this meme where it was like, oh, it's January 2nd and I already fucked my goals up. Better luck next year. So it's just like so true.
Yep.
That, the moment that you start, losing motivation or, you don't do your best, you're not exactly as on track as you were at the start. It doesn't mean that you just need to start over the next year and just throw them out. It's about learning how to be flexible with things and learning when you can pivot and just the small things, like recognizing the small things add up, acknowledging and celebrating the small steps that you took, because those are what is going to push you forward. Maybe it's not what you wanted to do. You want to do something bigger, but hey, something is better than nothing. But I think it's like that and being realistic or having realistic expectations, like the time part of things, like you mentioned, like you don't want to set a goal of losing 100 pounds in a month.
Right.
yeah, that'll throw people off. But how about you?
Specifically with fitness goals, I think a lot of people get like afraid of the work because it does take work. So if you don't want it enough, it is hard to keep yourself motivated. I like when you're starting to look for shortcuts automatically, that's never a very good sign. People want the fastest, quickest way to do things, and I understand that, but you also have to understand that that's not how everything works. Good things take work, good things take time, and I think again that always leads back to that realistic thing. So understanding what's realistic.
Yeah, sorry.
I think one thing that I always tell people to do, and I suggest doing, is setting goals based on your effort as opposed to like the end outcome. So as opposed to setting a weight loss goal, pick something that you know is going to lead to weight loss and set a goal about that. So instead of saying I want to lose 20 pounds by summer, I want to hit the gym 3 times a week until summer, and like say June. That way that you're recognizing you're pushing the effort, you're pushing the journey as opposed to the outcome, because that's what you can control.
Yeah, no, that's perfect. That's exactly another, like, I forgot about that, but it's very important. Because like you said, we focus on what we're going to get at the end. But also we learn and gain so much throughout the process. Because you're still doing something that you were not before. That is an accomplishment in and of itself. So, maybe last year you were not working out at all, and now you're going 3 times a week. Like, that is massive. So like, absolutely. That's why, or like habit journals, or like checking things off. Like even just making a goal to stay consistent at something is massive. And usually, the bonus is that it leads to getting closer to what you want. Yeah. So that also helps break it down and feel like you're accomplishing something every day, which helps that motivation. We know that motivation isn't always going to stick around, but I feel like as long as you feel like you're getting somewhere or accomplishing some piece of your goal, you're much more likely to push through, even when the motivation is not there, or you're feeling like you're not getting anywhere. But you can't deny that if you look back at this like habit checklist, you've checked off, like 20 days in a row of whatever it is that you wanted to be consistent at, working out, brushing your teeth, I don't know, whatever. So yeah, celebrate the little things. It's important.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Anything else we wanted to chat on about goals?
Trying to think. I don't think so.
I think writing them down and having them visible also another very important aspect of goals.
Yes,
like having reminders, stuff like that.
Post-it notes definitely come in handy. I used to do more of that, where it was like I would make a post-it note and put it up like on my computer each day, or just something that was a reminder. And now I have a bunch of post-it notes that I don't use because I just stopped doing that for some reason. But it is helpful if you actually do it.
That's why we put our bingo card is printed on the fridge. So you kind of look at it every time you get in there.
Yeah. It's like having it in plain sight is just in the way that if you have Oreos in plain sight, you're probably going to eat them. So if you have your goals in plain sight, you're more likely to do the things you need to do to get to them. So trade the Oreos for your goals.
Or you could always put it in if you're an electronic person, you can always like put out like events or dates in your electric calendar. I sound like I'm 80. You put it in your calendar to like set future check-in reminders on your goals and stuff. So that always works too.
Put your goals in your electric calendar, kids.
In your electric calendar.
I like it. I'm gonna call it that now. My calendar.
From now on. Electric calendar. Electronic mail is a thing.
It's called email. But
Oh,
yeah.
goodness.
So, is there anything else that we should cover
I
on
think
the
that
goal side of things? Yeah, I think it's mostly
yeah.
also important. It's very easy for us to get discouraged if something takes longer, or if we feel like we're not getting anywhere. Um, and that's where like flexibility comes into play too. Just because you make a goal at the beginning of the year, you might find out maybe 6 months later you don't even want that anymore. So it's okay to adjust things as
Pivot.
needed. Hmm. Yeah. So making a goal at the beginning of the year doesn't mean that you like have to stick it out at by all means necessary. You can change things. That's the beauty of life. You can change your mind. So
And you're in charge of it.
yeah,
So
yeah, kind of. Yeah, as we spoke about, it's like I don't know what we
yeah,
control.
kind of.
You're in control of your fitness and nutrition. That's about it. So
Yeah.
don't take it for granted. Control the one thing you can.
Yes. All right, what you got for our power talk today, Cody?
Oh, today, let's see. I did pick out a quote. Let me find it real quick. Oh yeah, okay. So, did you? Oh my gosh. Now I'm thinking like, did you say this one last time? Because I feel like you did. It's a Winston Churchill.
I don't
quote.
know. I
So
did
it's-
have a Winston Churchill quote, but
Was it the
at
success
some
is
point,
not
but I don't know if it's the
final
same.
one? Like, okay, so success. Is
No,
not
no, it
final.
wasn't that one.
Okay, cool, perfect. I was like, this one is very popular, and I think this is the one that I got fact checked on by Instagram way back in the day. So full circle. So success is not final. Failure is not fatal. It is the courage to continue that counts. So, like we said, it's the thing that you keep just going, keep going, no matter what happens. Like that is what matters the most, because you can't fail unless you quit. You might hit roadblocks or speed bumps. You might need to pivot. You might need to just take a detour, but that doesn't mean that you failed or that you need to quit. So yeah, don't quit even if the world is ending, guys.
Yeah,
gotta be
absolutely.
fit to run.
Fit for the revolution.
Yeah. Oh, I don't have any weapons. Is that something that has crossed your mind a little bit? This is a tangent, but like, have you thought like maybe I should get a gun?
I learned how to shoot a gun 2 weeks ago.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you. Because yes, it has crossed my mind.
Obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I live in the boonies in Ohio. Of course, it's crossed my mind.
It just
I hear
the
people.
boonies will do that too.
Yeah, I hear gunshots all the time.
I used to, and I lived up in Colfax. Like it was, I did. I remember being like, "Yo, like my grandma lived in like the ghetto. I hear more gunshots out here in the country, just because it's people shooting off their fucking shotguns, and they also did fireworks, which is bizarre. It's so dangerous. But yeah, people
dangerous.
in the country are like, no rules apply. We're doing what we want.
Nope, it's the Wild West.
It is. But yeah, I've been thinking about it too, just because I'm like, all these people have guns. And that's another tangent with like, okay, we haven't talked about this for a second, but the Luigi thing has also had some developments. I watched a couple like documentaries on it already, which is bizarre, like 2020.
That's crazy.
And then there was this TMZ thing on it last night that I watched, which is weird that TMZ is like this. I don't know.
News source.
Yeah, I'm like, I feel weird watching this, but whatever. So essentially, what I am seeing, I don't know if anyone else has seen this or has had these thoughts, but I feel like, the majority of even people in charge on the left and people in charge on the right, they're both like, murders, like, like he's a terrorist, like, he killed someone, he killed an innocent man. I feel like it's almost panic on their part with being like, fuck, people are realizing that like they have power, because
it's awakening class consciousness. Yeah,
it's like, what are we going to do if people in this country and people with guns actually realize that they can like band together and change shit? Like, because when voting doesn't fucking work or feel like it doesn't work, what is left? Because there's these billionaires in charge that it's like you cannot get anywhere unless you have money. And how the fuck are we going to get money? You can't, so you get guns. So
if we knew that, I think we would be in very different spots.
Oh yeah. But it's almost like the government at large is kind of panicking and being like, we need to make this guy an example so that no one else tries to pull this shit. And so it's like this awareness of being like, yeah, it's not good to murder someone, but the reality is that this happened because feeling powerless. And, you know, maybe not with Luigi because he was actually rich and everything, but on his own. And like, he could have been part of that system very easily and had money, and he already did have money. But for some reason, he turned against that, which is almost more admirable.
Absolutely,
it is. That, you know, I support what he did. But I'm just saying, like, I wish it could have been. Like, I wish maybe he could have like kidnapped the guy and like done a ransom shit, or I don't know, yeah, like just to like draw attention to it without first just murdering. But you know, it did serve like a certain purpose. It brought attention. It also kind of showed people that we do have a little bit more power, that we are all unified on the topic of like, this is fucked up. It's not left versus right. It is literally like poor versus rich. And there's a lot more of us down here than there are up here. So I feel like that's why everyone was like, this is bad, guys. No. Don't tisk. Do not murder CEOs. You know, you got to go about it the right way. It's like the right way doesn't fucking work. These insurance companies have been legally killing people for ages. So
exactly.
It's time for a revolution. I'm not leading it. FBI, please do not come to my house.
V for Vendetta, that shit. Yep.
Yeah, sorry, that was very off topic, and I'm gonna stop.
I love it.
Caffeine.
Well, maybe we can talk about it further next episode. But
yes,
our friends are gonna have to rejoin us. Till next time.
Yep. Peace out, guys.
Bye.
Bye.